Hey, Peter.
Hey, hey Jeremy, good to see you. Little secret for our watchers, we are not actually live. We are pre-recorded when you're watching this, if you're watching this live. and, the reason is we gonna have a long weekend. Monday is off for Pentecost, I believe, and we decided that we're gonna pre-record this. The other opportunity or the other thing why we decided this is because as a first in our little podcast, we have a guest, or we had a guest, Benoit, working for Looney.com, and he's talking about an experiment that they are doing at this French company about the 4-day work week. So we figured what we're gonna do is just have this little intro, do our regular scheduled show a week later when we are looking back at the content we produced and talk about. You had a very good article and a lot of stuff that I want to ask about, but we will put that aside for next week. And this time it's just going to be this recorded discussion with Benoit about the 4-day work week because that was super interesting.
Yeah, it is. And we actually said we'll try and do it in 30 minutes and then squeeze it into the regular show. But the conversation with Benoit was fantastic. It went into some really interesting subjects. And I think it's worth sharing the whole conversation with all of you. And we definitely want to have Benoit back on as a guest as well, because there's lots more to talk about with him.
Yeah, so I think we're going to wrap up soon. Keep on the call because we're going to play the whole recording unedited with Benoit. We're going to talk about the 4-day workweek experiments, upsides and downsides. I'm going to be playing the role a bit of a skeptic with some questions about challenging the whole idea. And then, as you said, we go into very interesting topics like the use of AI in a company that makes a living from storytelling. And that was super interesting also.
Exactly. I really enjoyed it. It was great to have a guest, and I hope you enjoy the interview as much as we enjoyed the conversation. Hey, welcome, Benoit. It's great to have you here with Peter and I.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and just to say that I was really pleased to have you on the show. I saw your post on LinkedIn about Looney adopting the 4-day work week, and I was really excited because I know we talked about it in the past, and I saw it's finally happened. It's really awesome. So I just said, hey, do you want to come on our new podcast show thing that we're trying to figure out with Peter? And so you're here.
I'm here. I'm trying to always say yes to you, Jeremy. You know that, right?
We both try to say yes to each other. And actually, I should introduce Benoit to those of you who don't know Benoit. Benoit and I formed this kind of dynamic duo called Benemy, as the title that we were given by our colleagues at Ocus. And we were both worked at Ocus as Benoit was the chief product officer, and I was the chief technology officer. And, when you have a partnership that just works between CPO and CTO, there's something really powerful. I always believe that that creates the greatest alignment because you have two people specialized and really focused on their area, but working in concert together. And I have good memories of working with Benoit, and somewhat, one of those people that when you leave work, working from them, you still try and stay in touch. So thank you for coming. Is there anything else you'd like to introduce about yourself, Benoit, and what you're up to these days?
First of all, thank you for having me. I will always, share those memories at Ocus. I'm a chief product and tech officer now, so I feel a bit alone. And indeed, when you have such a strong connection with your technical partner, when you're a CPO, it's really powerful. It's powerful in a COMEX. It's powerful with your teams, and there is only nothing that you can't achieve, and it's really good. And at day and at night, because we can also do great songs in karaoke. So we were kind of unstoppable.
Yes.
And about me, so I'm a chief product and tech officer at Looney. Looney is a kind of a toy factory in France. We produce those kind of devices. So it's a storyteller for kids that kids can use to play interactive audiobooks. And with that, we try to help them grow their imagination and fight against the smartphones and their screen time. and I'm really proud to be part of this great company.
It's interesting seeing you at Luni, Benoit, and how the values of a company and your values are so in tune. And you're a father, you have kids, and you've been fighting against this for a while, and it's just great to see it unlocking something in you.
I'm so lucky. I was part of the very first customers because I'm a geek father, and so it was really a product for me and for my daughter, and to be able to work on something when you build product that your kids can use and you see around. I will take the train this afternoon, and I can assure you I will see one of those in the train. And it's really fun to try to make an impact in what is probably the most important for us when you're parents, that is our kids and the next generation.
I have so many questions for you, Benoit, about what it's like to be both Chief Product and Technology Officer. I have questions for you about what it's like to work in a startup or in a business where you have hardware and software together. There's so many things I would love to dive into. Maybe we need to have you back.
Yeah, probably, because it can take a while.
Yeah, there's some really great topics to dig into. But I was actually, I guess the topic is the 4-day work week, and I should say, I don't know, you probably haven't read it, but Peter did write about his observations recently about a Hungarian company that had done a trial, I think, of a 4-day work week. I don't know if you want to briefly talk about that, Peter, and your initial thoughts. Let's get it all on the table first before Benoit goes.
Sure. I mean, it was interesting. It's been a while ago, so I don't remember all the details, but the setup is that there is this big Hungarian telco. It's actually a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom. It's Magyar Telekom, Hungarian Telecom. And they did a 4-day week experiment. Actually, they did 2 rounds, once with a smaller group and then to a bigger, I think hundreds of people. And just recently, I think earlier this year, decided to call off the experiment and go back to 5 days, because they concluded that they had some frictions that they couldn't resolve in the 4-day work week. Their setup was very special. They didn't dedicate 1 day during the week. It was varied across groups. And some of the problems were difficulties on positions that have a fixed schedule timeline, just coordinating the work with other departments. In general, coordination between departments, it was hard to know who's off and who's on. Same with customers. But there were also some criticism about work-life balance, coincidence or interestingly, because on those 4 days when people were working, they found that it's harder to keep the flexibility that usually comes with our jobs, that you can just sometimes take half an hour, pick up a kid from school, run some errands. When everything is crammed into 4 days, the experience for these people were that they couldn't find the time for these little activities and flexibilities. So that was one of the reasons. My conclusion was a bit cynical. I think they started the experiment where it was really hard to find people to work at, and this telecom company is not very attractive as a workplace. Sorry for everyone that I know that works there. And it was very attractive. They were in the news. And when they stopped the experiment, it was earlier this year or late last year. All of us know that the climate is very different, and a cynic in me says that they just didn't need this kind of employee perk anymore.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not the case at Luni. Yeah.
So, I hope so. No. Yeah.
So you're definitely going to hear, I guess, some different perspectives. I would certainly say that I've never worked in a 4-day work week, but I'm definitely pro the 4-day work week, and we can probably dive into some of my reasons why that is maybe later. I will say that now my current situation of being freelance and having more flexibility of my time kind of already gives me a little bit of that. And I think once you have a taste of this kind of flexibility, it's pretty good. Like I'm enjoying it a lot. So love to talk about it, and I'd love to understand, the journey of Luni towards adopting the 4-day work week. How did you get here, and what's motivating you? Because you heard like Peter's cynical view of the Hungarian telco, but like what brought Luni to this sort of moment?
So I would say that first of all, there are some famous examples in France that are really working. Two companies take the lead: Welcome to the Jungle and LDLC, and they make cases about it. So you can go online and check it. But it's really working, and they say once you get in this new format, you usually don't want to get back to the 5 days. Mm-hmm. So we observe that we think we have a kind of different view of the work that maybe some other companies, where actually what we provide is for it's for parents' life, and so we want ourselves to have a life. If we don't, that's what's the point of building that? Because we are our own users. We play with it every day, and so if you cannot go on a weekend or have a good work-life balance, then to put that is kind of useless. It's just that your kids can be left alone, and it's not the point. So we had this view of work-life balance to be a bit different, and I have to say, we work in an environment, Jeremy, that was kind of challenging for our work-life balance together, and our founders want to have a life outside of Luni. And so we do want to have a life. And so we started to read about it, check about it. And because we want to be an innovative company, a company full of innovation, actually, this is an innovation for us. And we wanted to take the lead, not to wait for, law or something. We wanted to be on the lead and to test it before it became eventually mainstream or not, but we wanted to test it. So I think it happened probably a year ago, maybe more. And after, we'll talk about it, but there is a whole process to put it in motion, because it's not really easy to put that in motion. But I think one thing you said, Peter, that is really important is like, when we enter the remote era and flexibility era, especially in startup, 4 days a week, when you do your week, that usually ends 5 days in 4 days. If you oppose that to flexibility, then you will lose, because people want to keep flexibility, but doesn't mean that you will lose this flexibility. At least at Luni, is something that is really important for us. But we'll discuss, because obviously there is a balance. We don't want to lose productivity, so you need to find tips and tricks to actually maintain a high level of productivity.
Yeah,
I
like that, because you're taking the company's values and the values of the founders, and then you're trying to embed that within the way of working in the company. And this is just, it sounds like it's an experiment that's an extension of that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So you said that you took the decision a year ago, but how did you then go, like, how did it take so long? Because my understanding is you started at the beginning of April, right?
Yeah. But I would say that the entire process to put that in motion, when we decided to go public with the team, probably lent 6 months. So there is a whole process. First of all, we announced that we want to go there. Then we did a bunch of surveys, of workshops. We highly involved all the managers of the company that did probably, 2 meetings per month to actually work on it and find solution for people that may have problems. There are some challenges with, let's say, the law or the regulation in France, because there are some contracts that when you work at the hours and then it doesn't work for this. So you have a challenge with that. You have to work with the work council to actually make sure that they approve it. And so there is an entire process that is actually pretty long. So that's why it took us some time, and our people team did an amazing job. And when you enter this journey, you can say oh, everyone will say yes, so it's going to be given. It's going to be easy. No, it's not. No, it's not, because for a ton of individual perspective, it's actually not that easy. Because when you discuss with people like Welcome to the Jungle, they clearly explain that it's actually you do your 5 days work in 4 days. So this is really important. So you have to increase your, let's say, daily work capabilities. So you need to find solutions.
So just to clarify, sorry to interrupt. You're implementing what I assume now is an 80-100-100 model. Like you do 100% of the work for 100% of the salary in 80% of the time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some companies are doing 80-80-100 or 80-80-80 even. So
no,
I think it's important.
We think at the end of the day we should accomplish the same amount of work, or let's say not the amount of work. Let's say the same. We should provide the same value for the company with the same salary, with less time.
Okay. Don't you find it a bit impossible?
Actually, no, because obviously we are still in the experiment, so it's difficult to give you the ending. But what I can already tell you is like when you have 1 day less in the week, the first thing that you feel really heavy is meetings. You say, "Whoa, should I keep the same amount of rituals of meetings?" And honestly, you can send a survey to all your listeners. Everyone is feeling that the meeting pain is too heavy. So the first thing that has to change, it has to change, is the amount of meetings. So it's the first thing that you will do. And actually, if you can do that with 5 days, then good for you. But the reality is, it's tough to delete meetings. And you have actually no choice, because if you want to keep working, then you have to do that. This is the first thing.
This is interesting. So actually you're using the smaller amount of time as a constraint, as a motivator to organize your work more efficiently.
Yes.
Nice.
And it's really important. And so I can assure you that if you reduce the number of meetings that you experience in a week, it's worth the day off, really. Yeah. And the second thing that you need to train your team to is to work offline. Which is a challenge. I mean, probably in company like Dashlane that you worked for, maybe it's more easy because you're more distributed. But in company that is mostly in France, for example, it's something that you have to train people to. But you have to work more offline. And more, I see people that try to send a Slack to get a result, a decision, instead of doing a meeting. I saw some rituals that are more and more apart, that it was weekly, now it's bi-weekly. And so the company adjusts with less meeting time to keep the same amount of, let's say, focus work.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because as you reduce meetings, you need to move to more of an async approach. And especially if you're not used to doing async, then it's a big change. Like I'll say that at Dashlane, we had while we were there, definitely heavy written culture. Maybe there was maybe almost like we were on the extreme of having too much writing, too many documents to read and review, and everybody was producing them. So there's like there's lots to do in all of that. But like, can you kind of concretely describe like some examples of meetings that got dropped in the week and how you replaced those?
So first of all, we ask ourselves, so is this ritual like really mandatory? So the first thing that we try to change is the rituals. So the weekly, the bi-weekly, the monthly, and all those things. Usually what we did is we get them far apart. So you did a weekly, you do bi-weekly, bi-weekly, you do monthly. So it's simple things. Some people try to have less 1-1 or 1-1 that was weekly, that are now bi-weekly. Depends of the managers, obviously, but So we kill some rituals. We ask ourselves like list of rituals. Should we keep it, remove it? And usually we try to, let's say, get them further apart.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I've seen that helps is moving the information part of those meetings to async, and then just having like an agenda that focuses on the actual topic. So you don't do information sharing, you read something in advance, or even have like a pre-read or read for 10 minutes. But gets that kind of, the whole information exchange part can really take up a lot of time. And then last 5 minutes of the meeting are all the topics that you really wanted to cover.
Yeah. No, obviously. And I think there is one thing that we truly believe is like, so we keep the same salary with 4 days instead of 5. And you say it's almost impossible to really work more, provide more value. But in reality, you can observe several things. The first thing is like, I can assure you that after 3 days of rest, if you rest, Monday is not the same. Neither Tuesday.
Interesting.
So you work harder, you're much more motivated, and you go, you work better. I can assure you that you work better. And so you will provide more value in the day that you used before. And I think it's part of what is the challenge today. And the second thing is for me, Jeremy, that I'm kind of a workaholic, but the problem that I have today is like, the world is, let's say tech is moving so fast. 10 years ago, we said, wow, it's moving fast, no? But it's nothing compared to today.
It's accelerating. Yeah.
It's even... And when you want to stay, in touch with technology, then how can you do it with a 5-day week of work, of full work, of deep work, of meeting? How can you try the new OpenAI model that was just released Monday? How can you do it? You can't. And so you have a full week.
If you want, that this should be part of your work. Like part of your work is staying on top of stuff, so you should do it in work time, and not. It shouldn't take away from your life with your family and friends.
I kind of agree, but in reality, companies don't pay you to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
They pay you to do a job that is in your job description. You can debate this part, but in reality, you have a job description that is like, you should do this, that, and that. I can assure you that no one has. There is a new model from OpenAI. You need to try it.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
I guess that we do try and encourage those experiments if there's something relevant
We
to
do.
work. But
we do, but let's be honest for a minute. We work, or it was the same at Focus with Jeremy. We work with like 80 people company that where it's in a market that is really challenging. And we say to our team, take your Friday, try to learn new stuff. But the day after we say, you're late on this. I was screamed at by a salesperson or whatever. We need to deliver that on time. So we send really mixed signal to our teams that really suffer to be a better version of themselves. And me, what I enjoy the most is to be, I have no meeting on Friday. I can do what I can never do is like try new stuff, try me. I'm really enjoying no code, so I'm trying to be better at no code. I try to be better at AI. Read also, so it's really tough to have time to just take 10 minutes to read a great article. Jeremy is sending great ones. I never miss one. but you need 10 to 15 minutes on your own with no Slack. And it's not something that is easy. It should be. Peter, I think you're right.
Exactly.
It should be.
That was my point, actually, when I wrote about this 4-day experiment in Hungary, that we have a problem that work doesn't have enough slack. Like work is all focused on deliveries and hard deadlines
or Peter, you could argue that work has too much slack.
Yeah, okay.
With the Slack the tool and Slack the space and time.
But my point is that instead of focusing on the real problem, we are hacking together a solution saying that, okay, you know what, we cannot solve this. Work is going to suck. Let's make it suck for 4 days only and give back 1 more day. Why don't we focus on making work a bit more sustainable, a bit more enjoyable and better for the long-term development and for the companies also?
The thing is, let's say in tech and the digital world, if you do that, probably you're dead. It's a real thing. I mean, I don't know what's the state of the tech scene in Hungary, but let's say in France, when we fight against giants. I spent 2 years at Deezer, that is basically the French Spotify.
Yeah, I know.
We used to say there that Spotify has more product managers than we have engineers or developers. So how are you supposed to fight with those big, let's say, North of Europe or US companies that are giants that have the money, that have all the ecosystem that we don't? And so if we fix the root problem, that is, we won't work on 5 days, that'd be super chill, then probably some of those companies won't exist. Because as of today, if you are, I truly believe that if you're a French company working worldwide against those giants, then you need to fight harder.
I know, but and I don't want to stay too much on this topic, but I think it's a question of focusing on the short term or on the long term. If you want to focus on the short term, this is what you need to do. You need to have very short deadlines, a lot of focused work, not enough slack or anything. It's going to burn people out. If you want to focus on the long term, you're running a marathon. You need to plan with some slack, some extra activities that can help you innovate, because it's proven that innovation is coming from this kind of creative slack times and hackathons and everything. So again, I understand that the situation in Hungary is the same also, that it's a day-by-day struggle it's really a David against Goliath. But my point would be that with a more sustainable setup, maybe we have better chances to win.
But it's really interesting. You know what? It's ringing a bell to me. I think in the last 10 years, when we were in management position, I think something we tried to do to did that with Jeremy, but we always try to mimic the one day hackathon Google style. It never worked. I never saw a company except maybe Google, but there are how many there are?
I think Google has stopped the 20%
Yeah,
time.
they stopped it.
And they stopped it. It's And so the thing is, it should be the way you describe Peter, but actually, unfortunately, it's not. And we do think with this setup, we do think that we can run a marathon, because you can actually pause every kilometer,
you have more time to recharge.
and you can pause more. So maybe you can achieve. I won't say that you will break records, but at least you can do it.
I think if you're able to run at that sustainable pace, rather than max pace, and you create kind of a sustainability about the rhythm of your weeks with people, and that 3-day weekend gives you that. I think it's quite a powerful way. I mean, I'm sure there's different ways of creating that slack, but what I like about the 3-day weekend and this approach is that it allows people to choose. Are they going to put some of that into their family? Are they going to put some of that into their extracurricular activities, sports or music or whatever other interests they have or hobbies? Or are they going to put it into work because that's what they're passionate about? And I love that, because that gives people the opportunity to energize themselves in the way that makes sense. And, we're all parents here, and there's phases of parenthood that need you to maybe, you need to give more into your family at certain phases. And so there's I think having that flexibility is quite powerful. I think just from the outside, certainly I'm experiencing that now. So I like it. I think there's other ways, as Peter's saying, maybe, but I do like this approach. Let me give you some perspective on that, because so obviously if you're a 5-day week, your kids are also on 5 days a week. They can be in preschool or they can be in school. Friday,
at 6 they stop, you stop, and Monday morning at 8 they start, you start. Okay, so if you want to either be a better version of yourself at work and try work, it's going to be on family time. If you want to do sports, it's going to be on family time, and it's not really easy. The way we implement 4 days a week, it's like everyone has Friday, except maybe we'll accept customer support that have a different setup. But the good thing is either you have a kid at home and it's going to be parenting. But if your kids are in preschool or in school, it means that either between 8 and 5, it's not family time, it's your time. You can do indeed sport, video game, work more or learn new stuff or prepare things for your weekend in family. But at least it's also you time. And as a parent of 3 children, I do think you need you time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you time to be more you there with them, more present, more and a better quality family time, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or just be, as I think what Benoit was getting at also is that you time, you alone, because as a father and as a person working at a company, this aspect of your life, when you're really alone and focusing on just one thing that you want to do for yourself, those time is minimal. It's nothing for a parent.
I think we talked about previously kind of pressure and touched on topics like going towards burnout and so on, and I think this is a key bit. Like when I think a lot of people when they get to a certain stage of their career, they're in a productive phase of their career, but they're also starting a family, they have kids, they have like the whole thing, and you start getting crushed from every side. You need to find quality time with your partner. You need to find quality time with your kids. You need to still show up and do your best in work, and suddenly you make sacrifices. You maybe sleep worse, eat worse, do less exercise, you feel worse, and you're in this vortex, right? So I like this idea. Obviously, it's not a magic silver bullet or anything, but I like the approach. And I think it probably creates better people at work because your outside of work affects your in work kind of situation.
Yep.
Yeah. So you touched a little bit on how it's working. You said everyone's off on Fridays.
Yeah.
How are you managing that, as you say, for customer support? I actually have 2 questions around this. One is customer support, obviously, but then the rest of the world, your suppliers, whoever you're getting to make your hardware devices for, your partners, customers. I mean, they're not. I mean, they're all. How do you manage that interface to the external world?
So about support, so we have it's the only team that sometimes have Wednesday off because we don't want customers to be with no answers for 3 days. So the worst answer you can get from Luni, from the team, is 48 hours. If you send a message on Friday evening, you will have an answer on Monday instead of waiting more. So support, the team alternate. Half of the team is off on Wednesday, half of the team is off on Friday. So it's a bit tough on them, but it's part of the job. It's, when you do support, it's kind of things that you need to do. The second, let's say, area that is a bit tricky is we have like a ton of companies on freelance, and freelance usually don't want to go in a 4 days week because we won't pay freelance the same amount of money. So they work on Friday, but they have to work alone. They have no support from the team. And the outside world, let's say that usually the why we put Friday is so the factories are usually closing sooner on Friday. So usually the Friday afternoon is not off, but like finished really early, probably at 2 or 3. And we never really had a problem with that. And the suppliers now know, I mean, every people we work with know that we are off. Usually it's okay. I mean, we don't send people to the moon, so things can wait for Monday. Like the most complicated things is indeed the factory. If there is an issue with the factory on Friday morning and let's say the production is stopped, then I mean, they can call me and maybe I can find a solution, but usually it will have to wait for Monday, which is not a big deal, at least today. Maybe it's going to be a big deal, let's say at the end of the year, because Christmas is obviously really important for us. And one thing we need to work for, is actually with tech. So one thing I'm really careful about is I want customer to be able to use Luni even on Friday and on the weekend. So we had a setup before where we always have someone from tech that is actually working, watching the servers and be able to do something if something went wrong. And we need to do that also on Friday. So on Friday, we have someone that is actually watching the servers. Everything is okay with the setting.
So you have kind of like an on-call engineer on-call on a Friday and rotating between the team. Yeah.
Friday and Sunday. Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, for the weekend.
At least something that we are working.
Which is kind of normal. I mean, anyway, when you have SaaS, you need to be up 24/7. So you usually have someone on call, and that's
exactly.
I guess that hasn't changed much in the sense that you still would have had someone on the weekend providing cover.
It's exactly the same, but the cover outside of business hours is a bit is bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So you're in the early stage of your experiment. It's a 12-month experiment. You started in at the beginning of April. What's been the response of the team? What are kind of the things that you've noticed as you're kind of coming into, this very early stage? Like, what have you seen already? What are the team saying? Any kind of observations?
So as of today, we don't have any kind of complaint. I think people are adjusting, obviously, but I think we did a job to well explain it, to reduce the level of meetings, and honestly, we will continue to do this part. Continue to work async. So it's the beginning of the journey. I have to be honest, I think there are two areas of person when you enter this. You have the person that really understand and really and work more, work better, work smarter over the 4 days. And there are people that don't adjust, which will be an issue with time, because we'll monitor every quarter the objective of everyone, and we'll see that you can't achieve your objective. So what's the issue? And some people that cannot exceed performance with this setup. So we'll have, obviously in this case, probably difficult conversations. Or if it's everyone, it means that the setup is not good.
Yeah.
What strikes me the most is Monday morning. It's not the same Monday morning to me. And as of today, we are in a phase where we'll probably lose a bit of productivity, but honestly, not that much from what I can observe. So as for me, it's mainly positive, but obviously we need to wait. We did it at the beginning of the year also because it's not the toughest time for us. You need to come at Luni in October and November when we prep for Christmas. It's not the same. So obviously Q3, Q4 are going to be a challenge for us. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I guess that this is still the honeymoon early period.
Honeymoon. Oh, it's Thursday, and we can say have a good weekend. It's this phase,
You know how they always say like Thursday is the new Friday. Well, now Thursday really is the new Friday for you.
Maybe Wednesday is the new Thursday.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'd love to check in occasionally with you on how it's going, Benoit, throughout the year. I think I hope our listeners will be interested in hearing your progress and the ups and downs. I'm sure this is I'm sure there'll be some crunch moments, as you say, especially in that October-November period.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
It's
Yeah, we
probably
should
easy,
definitely talk
especially with
after
the
that.
summer holidays coming and the good weather.
So yeah, but actually the first, let's say, not pitfall, but the first issue that we had is like we had a really special May month in France.
Oh yeah.
So because of the bank holiday, and so with the 4 days week, that is Friday for us. If you, I don't know, you take 2 or 3 days of PTO and so time off, and you had 2 weeks. Like
Wow.
it was a really
A lot of people were doing
nice.
that, I imagine.
But exactly. So you have basically the company for 2 weeks that stopped running. This is a kind of thing that you don't really imagine at the beginning, but this is a side effect.
Yeah. Yeah. The way the French holidays work is challenging for this. Yeah.
It is. It does. But after, again, let's say if we can boost morale, boost productivity, boost teamwork, collaboration, and if it's work at the end.
Yeah. Actually, for people who are listening, the way the French holidays work is there's it's the date, the actual calendar date so if it's a Wednesday, then it's a Wednesday that you have off. So what a lot of people do is they'll take the bridge or the pont, and they'll do like either, if it's the Thursday, they'll take the Friday off, or sometimes it's a Wednesday, they'll take 2 days on either side. Then you have a longer weekend. Now, I guess it goes both ways, right? Because you have in France some years where more days land in that kind of middle of the week, and some years where more days land on the weekend. Yeah. Or even, and in your case, it's going to be also some days are going to land on a Friday, and then, well, there's no change, right? So I guess that's how it's going to work.
Yeah,
right?
and last week the Wednesday was a bank holiday, Thursday also, and so because I had the Friday off, like it was not a pont or bridge, it was like the golden gate of the week. So in May it was more the 2 days week that 4 days a week, but
but some years you're going to win and lose, right? So that's just how it works.
Yeah, but what I'm the most curious about today is to see if people take the chance to be this better version of themselves, either to be better at sport, or take time better rest, or learn how AI is working. But this is what interests me the most, because again, what's strike me for younger generation against what we knew is like, how can you? So my son is ending high school. How can you say that the job that he wants to do? Let's say he wants to be a designer. Will designer be a good job in 20 years? Honestly, I don't know. We will maybe developers or product manager, will we be replaced by AI? I have actually no idea. So we need to catch up. We need to take time. You can also start your own business on Friday if you want. So what good will come out of this is also what interests me the most.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing how it goes. I hope that people are able to embrace the opportunity that this type of slack in the week gives, and kind of a full-time employee to be a better version of themselves, as you say. So
yeah,
really looking forward to that.
It's so on the things that you have to take into account is, I do think also that you need a certain form of maturity in your teams to embrace that, because you need to understand that you don't know everything, or you are not the best at everything, and to take some time to be better. It's something, so you need to have this level of maturity, and also that I do believe that you're in 4 days week, that your turnover, employee turnover will drop. Like no one as of today wants to leave this kind of companies. I mean, we'll see, but this is what we observe, and obviously you need to make sure that your team is performing. So this is also, you will have to balance performance. That's why our people team did an amazing job to make sure we have quarterly review, quarterly objective, measurable, where we can see when people is dropping, first to help this person, but also to make sure that the company is maintaining performance.
That's the maturity of the company, to focus on outcomes rather than outputs, and building a system that focuses on that and enables that. And yeah, certainly that you say that you need maturity. You need maturity in the company's operating model as well to be able to do that.
But also one thing is that you should not oppose flexibility as with that. It's something that we say loud and clear. We don't watch when people arrive at the morning or connect in the morning and leave at the evening. It's not the point. Okay, if you want to go at the doctor in the middle of the day because you have no choice, since it's the case in Paris, sometimes you have to just do it. L'Uni remain something flexible, a good place to work, but you have to find a way to extend your way of working. Me, for example, but it's just my example is how I'm working. My daughter leaves school at 6, and when I have custody for the week, I have custody of her. I want to be at school at 6, and so I'm doing that. I'm chief product and tech officer, but I'm still going to take my girl at school. After I open my laptop again because we have good tooling now, and I continue to work. And flexibility is about that. It's about for you to have a good work-life balance. I want to walk my daughter to school every morning when I have custody, and every night, and I still do that in a 4 days week. It's not an issue at all, but my lunch break is really small. I don't take coffee chat a lot, and I'm really motivated on the 4 days. I'm like, let's make an impact today. When I leave school, I'm like, whoa, I want to leave an impact today. So I'm working really hard. And if I'm not done with my work, then I open my laptop. Obviously, I have also other kids. I have a girlfriend, so I try to be also a good house person or family person. But this is something that you can do. At least me, it's working.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the way I see it is that this is really this kind of setup. It's helping people who have very good prioritization skills and can focus well on the things that really matter. And maybe this is going to be less beneficial for those people who are struggling with this, who I don't know, who need the 5 days in a week to have the same outcome as somebody could do in 4 days.
It's exact. I think, Peter, it's exactly what I try to explain with the measuring, if not productivity, let's say the objective of a person. I think at the end of the day, some people will struggle with the system, and so we will have to decide if it's a minority of person. I think the company will stay on the 4 days week, but those people will have to find somewhere else.
Something where they can be happier.
Sorry, but we won't change our culture. It's like that. We want to work with people that share the same passion of work, the same culture as us. And if it's the majority of person that struggle, obviously will roll back.
Yeah. I think it's an important aspect because a lot of companies don't realize this, or a lot of people who talk about 4-day work week don't realize this, that it requires a different mindset and a different way of working. And it's perfectly fine. There might be a high performer who's not adapted to this way of working, and then they were going to need to find, as you said, a place where they can be happier and more a better match.
It's exactly that. But Jeremy knows me too well, but I want to be passionate about my work. I want to work with passionate people. So this is, for example, like the new it's called Flam. It's for kids that are 7+, and so I work at the beginning, almost the beginning of this product, and we'll put it in factory in the end of kids and parents. How in life you have the chance to do something like that? It's not. I mean, it's not. It's something that I will do maybe 1 or 2 more in my career, and it's unique. So this setup also, to me, boosts this notion of passion. So you work in a company that help you to have a better work-life balance, that give you good salary, good benefits, and also awesome products. So let's make sure that those 4 days you have an impact, you come with passion. And if you can't do that, and you're not passionate, maybe you need to find somewhere else where, again, no hard feeling. You will be probably more happy if you want maybe more
Exactly.
more structure with 5 days when you have time to do it, and it's more maybe peaceful. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think the other thing is that because you have, I would say, like ratcheted up the way that you execute, and the expectation to have everything, for people who don't adapt, that maybe they actually would have also still not, they weren't, maybe they were still struggling in the 5 days anyway, because there's an aspect of that there. I am curious, because I know that you talk about, I'll let you answer, but I wanted there's another question I wanted to ask before we wrapped up.
I just want to say something also. At least in France, there are studies about Fridays. So since the remote, I mean, after COVID, let's say, and remote in tech, you have less cars in the streets in big cities, so less traffic. You can go on and check your Slack statistic. You will have less Slack. You will have less meeting. You will have less a ton of things. And I do think also it's to embrace this movement. Some person does need 5 days, but some persons are always probably in 4 days a week without you noticing it, because they are off and they are not really loyal to your companies. And it's something that unfortunately exists.
Yeah.
If we don't bullshit ourselves. And so those persons will have to, let's say, at least take the base of those 4 days anyway, which I think it's also fair for everyone.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree with you more. So people hearing this are probably getting excited about Luni. So I have 2 questions. Are you hiring, and if you are, what are you hiring right now? And if you're not hiring, where can we go to make sure that if you do have a job open, that people jump on it?
So,
because I can recommend Benoit as a boss. How do you recommend Benoit as a boss?
So you can go on luni.com, luni.fr for French auditors, and you will have our products, our ebooks, and obviously our job opening. I think we have 2 developers opening, one for backend and one for firmware. So all the software that is inside of those books, that is tough things to do. And so please apply, especially if you're a woman. Because Jeremy knows that also, but gender equality and to have the parity in the workforce is something really important for me. So I want to bring that in tech also. Luni is, let's say, I would say 60-70% female, but not not in tech, unfortunately. And so I want to really welcome female in my team. And so if you're listening to this, please come forward, contact me directly.
Yeah, it's the best. And I always say, like, when you read the job description and you don't feel like you maybe tick all the boxes, go anyway for it. And you never know,
Yeah, so we try to do a job on this, try to remove everything that that you can feel discriminated about, but we are not there yet. So again, if you love the company, just give it a try. Contact me directly.
Awesome. And Benoit, I want to say to folks, if you're a parent or people with kids, check out Luni. It's LUNII.com or .fr.
We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. But just check it out. I think it's a great gift. It's a gift that keeps on giving as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I talk about my little one that is not 11, but I have also teenagers. I can tell you that screen time and things that we put in their hands. It's killing part of their mind, their use, and we need to fight against that. And all those devices are about that. At the end of the day, no screen for kids that are under 3, and no smartphone for kids that are, let's say, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this is for that exactly.
Yeah, and there's I know we're well over time, but there's a really topical French government study on this that just came out recently about screen time. And I think the recommendation, you probably know it better than me, but screen time, they said no screens before 13 was the recommendation. And sorry, no TV or no screens before 3.
3, yeah.
And then no personal phone before 13. I think that was what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And small 13, it's a dumb phone that they recommend.
Yes.
The smartphone is about 16.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so yeah, it's.
If you want my opinion, at some point the government will probably make mandatory for a phone manufacturer to check the age of the user and to change the features up against the age. It's killing them. It's killing us.
Yeah.
But we were not born with it for us old people. But for them, it's terrible.
Yeah, I think in the UK they're having exactly the same debate and about some kind of government legislation around this. So I'm really cheering for you and Luni, the product, and for the success of you and the team. And really appreciate you coming on to talk about your experience with the 4-day work week. We should definitely have you on to talk about other topics.
Anytime. So we said CPTO, and we said working with hardware.
Working with hardware, I think it's really interesting.
You know, I have time on Friday, so
we'd love to. Yeah, I know it's a bit ad lib, and we're over time, so feel free to say no. One of the newsy topics that Peter and I had was to talk about GPT-4 Omni, the release, and also Gemini. I don't know if you've played with it.
No.
Benoit, okay, because I was going to say that we could always, we'll chop this bit out, but we could always riff with you for a couple of minutes about it.
My team did, but me not personally. Yeah. But
okay.
I'm amazed with what's going on. I'm a bit scared also, to be honest, but I'm amazed. So let's say that for us, there is a first use case that is really easy to understand, that there are already a ton of service that we ask ourselves a ton of things. So it's you take ChatGPT and you say, hey, create a story for my kids about, I don't know, a rabbit that wants to eat a burger. It's going to be super easy for ChatGPT. And so we provide really awesome stories for kids, but we take a lot of time to build them because we want to have the best and not only, all the classicals that kids can see on the TV. We put a lot of effort to make great content. So I build products, but product without the content is nothing. And actually it's the best content. So should we embrace AI to build stories? Should we fight this? What about the authors? What about the royalties? It's a real debate. It's really complicated and interesting. If you want my opinion, we need to find a way to embrace this in a respectful way. And this is a journey that we need to enter. We also use AI for a ton of things inside of Luni to be better of the use cases that I really understand that are really useful today and easy to implement is to sum up customer feedback. So when you have 1 or 2 million of those outside, so obviously AI is really good to sum up verbatims of customer feedback. So it's something that we're using to try to, cut to the noise and really understand what people are trying to say to us. And a ton of things to help, in customer support also. It's working really well, this kind of thing.
Yeah. I actually did an experiment with ChatGPT, or I asked it to generate. I'm a subscriber, so it's ChatGPT 4 before Omni came out now.
Yeah.
But I asked it to generate a short story for my son, who's 5, and the quality of the story wasn't super great, but he loved it. And I read it to him. I didn't have the GPT read it to him, but I read it to him, and he loved it. And then he was like, "What happens next?" And it generated a sequel. And now, it's very strange. It's not the greatest quality, but I think at least Peter and I have talked about this, but it can augment what we do and kind of help us move a little bit faster. Maybe, hopefully, for you, it can reduce the cost and time of producing quality stories when it works well with humans. But I would hate it if we were in a world of mediocre crap generated by AI and everything was just mediocre crap everywhere all around. And I think that's, we've written about the enshittification of the internet and how that we're trending towards that. But yeah, I think that would be the danger zone,
This is exactly what scares us. So as of today, we don't talk at all internally about reducing the cost of building stories because this is the main seller point of Luni. So we won't use it to reduce story building cost. We could, but we won't. On the other hand, to internationalize a story, it's obviously easier because at Luni we have a team of research that is working on the, let's say, voice synthesizer. So we are more looking about what can we do with voices to speed up some processes, translation, for example. Obviously, we are watching how we can build stories, but not to replace the stories that we built, but more how can we help children to have access to more content and help them grow. It's always the same thing.
Yeah.
How can we make sure that we provide quality stories and not, let's say, flat or crappy ones that you can get with the GPT or Gemini or whatever you're trying to do. And this is a challenge. So to work with the prompt, to maybe train the algorithm on some really quality content is the kind of challenges that you face. You can go around. There are already a ton of services where you can create stories for kids. But what we want to do is to embrace the technology, but to make it better.
I love that.
You can use it for other purposes also, like reach a bigger audience. Like Hungary, there are probably less Hungarians than people living in Paris, and children. We don't have that wide selection of content for our kids in Hungarian. So if you can use AI or any kind of tools like this to make your existing human written content available in all the languages in the world, that can be a big deal.
So internationalization again is obviously one of the use cases that we're watching. So to keep the same stories, same quality, maybe the same voices, but to put it in Hungarian does make sense because for us we don't let's say break the value of what we are doing. We don't break the value of the authors and these are the comedians, if you want.
Although you're destroying the translator profession.
But obviously we don't need. I mean, with AI we need to be super realistic. Some jobs will disappear.
Yeah.
If
Or
you're
change.
a translator today, or change, but if you're a translator today, I will be worried about the next 20 years. Look at what they announced on OpenAI announced on Monday. I mean, the automatic translation is not the future; it's already there.
Yeah, but I have friends who are working in the translation industry, and it's not new. Like since I don't know 5 years, 10 years, they are all using these large language models and AI to help their work. So they become more efficient. They can produce more content, but keep up the quality with just humans using the tools that are more powerful now.
But it's really important what you said, Peter. I want to come back to our previous topic. I know we are over time, but it's really interesting what you say. So there are two kind of people in this post-AI LLM world. The people that want to embrace the technology and are not afraid of it, the people that really say, I don't want to talk about it. I know some designers or some art graphics that say, I don't want to hear about it. Don't talk about it. It's the enemy. It's evil. I don't want to talk about it. And I think those people will be out of the job soon. There are people that say, you know what? I'm a graphist, but I love what Midjourney is doing. It helped me go faster. I won't I won't send to customer a Midjourney image, but it helped me to get ideas. It's the same for developers. So either you embrace AI for your code quality or your testing, or you don't. But at the end of the day, you will have to, if you're a product manager, use it to summon the verbatim of your customer, maybe to try to do some prioritization. If you don't, people that come that will be AI native in 10 years will take your job.
Yeah.
Honestly.
There is this saying that it's not AI who's going to take your job. It's a person using AI.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so coming back to a previous topic, again, if you don't have time to just to learn, then you lose your job in 10 years. So either companies give you the time to do it on your own and it's your own choice, which I think is the fair solution. It's a 4 days week where on Friday you can take your time to do whatever you want, but you can also train yourself. Or the companies say, okay, I don't care. You have your objective. You have 5 days. And in this case, good luck. Because
or
I think
companies can intertwine this learning into the 5 days.
Or the company is doing, okay, you have a full day or 5 hours per day and per week, and you have time to do it. But
it's
again,
harder to do.
Let's not bullshit ourselves. Everyone tried this, and almost everyone failed.
I do think that it's definitely easier if everyone is off on the same day, and it gives you that. Yeah, but obviously that's there's different approaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
that was a good discussion.
It's been a great discussion. Benoit, really great to see you, to talk with you, to have you on our show, and I think we'll have you back for sure.
Pleasure.
So many topics to go into. Really wish you and the team at Luni all the best with this experiment. I hope it's really successful. I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.